Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since 96, and you're watching my post-match reaction where Arsenal have beaten Crystal Palace 3-1 at Selhurst Park. This is the day after, so it's not really an immediate post-match reaction, but all the facts are now clear. The highest Arsenal can finish is 6th. Is it? I believe it is. No, it's not. It's 7th. It's 7th. Damn. Yes. Arsenal can finish in a Europa Conference League position. It was all excitement yesterday as Tottenham lost. Everton were trailing. They weren't trailing, they were winning. But Everton have got Man City at the end of the season this week, on Sunday. And Tottenham have got Leicester, who now have to win if they want to preserve any chance of getting that last Champions League spot, because Liverpool won yesterday and on goal difference they sit 4th. So it's shaping up to be a really interesting finale. But like I said, that victory yesterday was, I guess, a little bit overstating the excitement levels that we felt at full time because West Ham won. They were 1-0 down though. I mean, but having said that, I guess you would have always expected them to win against West Brom. But the way the season's gone, you can't call it. You just don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, it's an opportunity for Arsenal to finish in a Europa, in a European spot. The argument for and against this has been, stated on social media throughout the last 24 hours. A lot of people against the idea of Arsenal competing in the third tier of a European competition, because we shouldn't be competing on that level. We should be a lot higher. But I think the fact of the matter is that Arsenal don't deserve and aren't good enough to play in the Champions League or the Europa League, clearly. So that's why, should we finish 7th, that would be our level, so to say, because the league table doesn't lie. And I mean, I guess you can make a case for this season being different to the others and extenuating circumstances because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, Arsenal had a good enough squad, in my opinion anyway, to challenge for top 4. And if not, then at least finishing 5th. The squad was good enough, but didn't have enough depth. So in that respect, they deserve to finish wherever they deserve to finish. Teams like West Ham have been far more consistent than us. Leicester as well. Everton. Spurs are having a Spursy season, so let's not talk about them. That's also to play for, by the way, to finish above Spurs. And in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really mean much, but it's something to talk about, I guess, and something to end on a bright note. But in my opinion, I think the Europa Super League? Wow, can't believe I said that. The Europa Conference League will do us more benefits than more damage. I think that any European competition is good for Arsenal, especially for long-term progression of the youngsters, developing them as well, as getting them as many minutes in European competition, allowing Arteta as well to structure his squad, to find out who his starting 11 are and to find out who his B team are. That's going to be important, because if you're not in Europe, then you're just, I guess, there's more risk of experimenting every week, and also not being able to give players enough game time. And I'm talking about your Martinelli's, who's excellent. He came on and he got his goal. And if Nelson decides to stay, players like Nelson, if Willock comes back and we decide to keep him, what do you do with him? So these competitions are very, very important for the development of these young players. Now, let's talk about the game itself. So starting 11, I was fairly happy with. No complaints there, really. Bearing in mind that Xhaka was on the bench, Luiz was still injured, so that was probably the strongest starting 11 we could have went for. It was a shame that Pepe was played on the right-hand side, not the left-hand side, because I think that we get the best out of him on the left, but proved us all wrong. Got 2 goals, 2 really good goals as well. The first half, absolutely dominating performance. Really happy with the football that was being playing with a lot of confidence, and you could tell that the team were coming into this game on the back of 3 straight wins. And this was, Arteta's 4th win in a row for the first time in the Premier League. So the confidence was there. You could see the team were gelling quite well together, playing up from the back fairly easily. I was quite impressed with Elneny in the first half. I think he was really good in the kind of tempo that he was playing with, the purposeful passing, and also on rare occasions making some really good out of the box kind of passes as well, like things that you don't associate Elneny with, finding players to run in behind, passing the ball through in between the lines, that kind of stuff. So I think everyone, all in all, had a pretty solid first half, other than Aubameyang, who I felt like isolated himself once again. And I don't know how long we can go on using the malaria excuse and the fact that he just hasn't had a good season. I think next season, should he remain in Arteta's plans, he will be under a lot of criticism if he repeats a season like this year. He needs to step it up. He is one of our biggest stars. He's been given a massive contract. His final one, it could be, potentially. So we expect him to deliver, regardless of... Okay, maybe not regardless of age, but I just want more from him. I want him to play with a bit more pride, passion, desire, and I didn't see that against Palace. The first goal came in the 35th minute. Great goal. You could see that Palace were quite resolute and organised at the back, because every time that we were pushing the ball forward in the final third, there was that final bit of spark quality missing. And Palace did quite well to defend, when they needed to. But that beautiful 1-2 from Tierney, between Tierney and Saka, couldn't be stopped. Great crossing by Tierney, and finally there's someone in the box to put it in. Pepe does a good job to, flick it into the sort of near post. Good goal. 1-0 Arsenal. Going into the second half, cruising. First 10 minutes was really good. And then for some reason, we decide to play with the crowd. We decide to start irritating them. And it was so good to see the crowd back, by the way. If I was a Crystal Palace fan, I'd be loving every minute of that game, because the crowd was really roaring them on and really, allowing them to almost galvanise themselves, because when Callum Chambers started to waste time on throw-ons and stuff like that, the crowd was getting really irritated, firing the Palace players up, and then eventually they get a goal in the first half. Benteke did have a few headers. It did look like eventually a set piece was gonna, be converted into a goal. And yeah, poor defending, zonal marking system. I don't know why we're deciding to play in that kind of way against teams like Palace, who have big dominant target men like Benteke. But the man who was supposed to be marking him, Gabriel, was shoved off quite easily. So, fair play to them. They came back into the game and they made life really difficult for us in that second half. I mean, we were absolutely poor. We were crumbling, and you could tell like the confidence had been sucked out of all the players. Touches weren't right. When they got the ball, they didn't feel confident with it. They didn't know where to pass it. All of a sudden, the sort of the smooth silkiness had disappeared and tempo had died down. All the momentum was on Palace's side. They were bombing men forward. They could have had a few penalty shouts with Zaha falling all over the place in the penalty box. But I think we were quite lucky. We were quite lucky to not play up against a side with more quality in the final third, because if they did have more quality, then they could have punished us. Quite lucky that Eze wasn't available. He's been injured he'll be out for a long time, actually. I think they said maybe until January, so it's a real shame for them. But we count ourselves lucky that they didn't have more players like that in the final third. And then eventually Arteta makes the changes, good changes as well. Surprised to see Odegaard come on for Saka, but I think he might have a knock, so we'll have to wait for more news on that. But Odegaard came on, didn't really do much up until the ball that he put into Martinelli. Later on, Martinelli comes on, and so does Xhaka. I was really surprised to see that Aubameyang stayed on and Lacazette didn't come on, but eventually it worked. We didn't make it pretty, but it was a beautiful bit of play from Odegaard to put the ball into the box, and Martinelli did all the work, the desire to get the ball, to flick it over the keeper, and then to make... Because once he flicked it over the keeper, it didn't seem like he was going to reach that second ball, but he did, and then he just touched it into the back of the net. And 91st minute, Arsenal 2-1 up. Brilliant, great feeling. I can't remember the last time. I think it was 2017, the last time Arsenal scored a 90th minute winner. So really good that we got that goal, but I'm hoping that Arsenal preserve that lead, stay solid, compact, and don't do anything stupid. Palace look like they could almost get an equaliser, because when you're playing against Arsenal, anything's possible. And then out of nowhere, Pepe comes onto the scene, starts skipping past 4 or 5 players, and then slots it into the back of the net. A brilliant individual goal. Someone who had a pretty good performance, I have to say. I mean, 2 goals in a game where he wasn't played on his, I would like to call it his preferred side. The left-hand side for me is where he is most effective. The right-hand side, he is okay, but he is easy to stop. So, he did have a good game, but not the most effective. Having said that, that second goal in the 94th minute or 95th minute, whatever it was, just showed us all what this guy can do. That goal epitomizes what we would have thought, expected, what we would have associated Pepe with before he came to Arsenal, because he was scoring goals like that for fun at Lille. So, it was a moment of magic, and it was a 3-1 victory, which meant that we are now 1 point behind Everton, Spurs, and 2 teams who have tough games on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. If Arsenal get into the Europa Europa Conference League, that will mean that we will be playing European football next season. The streak continues. But yeah, really looking forward to Sunday. Really looking forward to getting that game out of the way so that we can finally look forward to the summer, because the summer will be so important. It holds all the keys really to unlocking everything Arteta needs to unlock for the upcoming season. So I'll be looking forward to that. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hit that bell notification to be notified every time I release a video. I'll be back again tomorrow to look ahead to Arteta's post-match press conference to see what he said about the game against Crystal Palace and what his hopes are looking forward to Sunday as well, and also maybe some plans about the summer. But until then, stay home, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.